Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. In a previous video, I was able to turn one of these dish tailgater portable satellite antennas into a microwave imager. I could see geosynchronous TV satellites in the sky, I could image my house in the KU band microwave range, and that was pretty fun. Now we're back at it, we're doing some more stuff with the dish tailgaters. For one thing, I've determined that my 2011 version over here on the right does work over a USB console, the same as my 2014 version. However, the motors in this are seized up, and the whole thing still smells kind of mildewy. This is the one that somebody took out fishing, it got wet, the motors don't work, so while I can connect to the console, I can't actually increment the motors, I can't make it aim around. We're going to have to buy new motors for that if we're going to do anything with it. Now in the original video, I put the Python code that I wrote for this project onto Github, and I knew it was kind of amateurish code, I knew it was clumsy, but I don't really fully understand Github, and I think I've gotten in over my head on there because a bunch of people have started doing pulls and commits and pushes and all kinds of things that I barely know how to do. I probably use GitHub all wrong. I don't actually have a local Git repository on my computer. I'm just writing this Python code in Notepad. It turns out a lot of people want to update my code and fix my code without even having the hardware themselves. They're not able to use the code, but they want to clean mine up, which is cool, but I don't really know what to do with it. I'd like to kind of learn how GitHub works and do it the right way, but right now I'm just very confused by it all. Donnie seems to think the tailgater is some kind of new cat toy for him. Hi, are you helping? You're so helpful, aren't you? So I've pulled out my original dish that I did the prior video with, and I'm going through those pull requests to see if I can make heads or tails of them. A lot of the suggestions seem to be ways to make my code more standardized, which has its pluses and minuses. On the plus side, yeah, it's great to have clean, efficient, standardized code. On the downside, I don't always understand the techniques these people are using because it's far beyond my coding ability. And if I'm going to go back in there and edit the code, I need to be able to understand what's going on. So I might ignore some of the efficiency things, some of the standardization things, and stick with my kludgy methods that I kind of understand. For example, pull request 1 takes my interactive scan variables and moves those into arguments that can be passed at the command line. That definitely seems more standard, but I honestly don't like it as much. That's just my personal preference, and that fits a lot more with how I interact with code. Might be wrong, but I'm going to stick with that for now and set this one to the side. Another thing that a lot of people wanted to do was improve the nudge command. So this dish moves in several different ways. You can move it by a full degree of azimuth or elevation, or you can nudge it and just run the motor for a second to get a tiny adjustment to the dish position. Unfortunately for my purposes, I'm not really sure if that's going to work for getting a microwave image. There's something on these dishes called beam width, which is kind of equivalent to the resolution of a camera. The smaller the dish, the fuzzier the picture, the wider the beam width, essentially the lower resolution the camera is. If I had a really big 3-meter dish, we could resolve down to fractions of a degree. That's why you need a big dish to get the weaker free TV satellites and things like GOES and whatnot. With this little dish, the beam width, the resolution is more than a degree wide. So basically, every degree that this thing is moving, it is seeing what's in that degree of sky plus a little bit of the degrees off to the side. So it's going to make for a fuzzier picture. We saw in my original images that there were rings around each of the satellites in the sky, and I think those ring effects are kind of an artifact of interference from the dish trying to move smaller than the beam width can actually see. Anyway, I do still want to try the nudge command. A couple people have found ways to possibly improve and use that, but I'm going to keep my expectations low for the results on that. So for pull request number 2, we're getting some errors, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. The contributor for pull request 2 broke out a bunch of stuff into libraries, which I have not worked with in Python yet. So again, I'm still a Python noob, don't know enough what they're doing to get in there and fix it. So we're going to set that one aside. This is an especially difficult project to collaborate on because I appear to be the only one who has one of these dish tailgaters. The other guys are better at code than I am, but they don't have the hardware to work with, so if they write something, they can't immediately test it. They have to rely on me digging out my hardware, hooking it all up, testing their code, letting them know what's wrong. It's not a very easy process, and they've suggested that I do like an organization and we do some more collaboration on GitHub, but I don't work very well that way. I don't work well in a corporate-style collaborative coding environment. I'm much more comfortable just writing stuff, poking at the dish, seeing if I break it, trying to fix it, and then pushing it all into the corner and moving on to the next project when the ADHD kicks in. I apologize to any would-be collaborators out there on GitHub or anywhere else, but my brain just doesn't interface well with this style of project management, so I don't know if it's going to work out without some of the coders getting their own dishes to work on. Now, they are out there. These tailgater dishes are not an unobtainable unicorn. In fact, I just picked one up the other day for $45. So they're on Craigslist. They're on Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes you have to go back and look at postings from 6 months ago and message the people and say, hey, did you ever sell that? Do you still have it? A lot of times they still have it and they'll give it to you for half what they're asking. In fact, there's a fellow out there named ArchSK who messaged me and said he found one on eBay. He was able to get it working with a Raspberry Pi and some of my code. I'll throw a link to ArchSK's video down in the description so you can check out his project as well. So far, this video has just been me talking over a Linux console and talking over the dish, and it's pretty boring video so far. It's gotten so boring that even the camera has started to lose focus. Alright, we're attempting to run pull request number 3. And so far, everything's working the same as my code, and we've crashed. So again, this is something in like a utility include file. I might still try to play around with those nudge commands, or we might push all this into the corner, pull out one of my broken tailgater dishes, and see if we can get that to work. I think I mentioned earlier in the video that I had one with bad motors. I've gone online, I've ordered some motors, so let's cut over to that and see if we can do anything with it. And I think that's going to take a little more disassembly than before. To get all the hardware out of this case, we have to take these rubber feet off the bottom and then remove these bolts. This is the really rusty part here. All right, well, got that out. I did slightly break this plastic piece here, but that's kind of optional, right? It is so rusted and seized in here, I can't get this little set screw out to get the hub off the motor, to get this little wheel in place. I've already pulled it apart. I've tried drilling out there, I've tried drilling out here, I've tried prying it out. I cannot get this motor hub apart. Now, I've got a couple of these ViewCube units, which are essentially the same as the tailgater, except they have a dumber brain, they don't have a USB interface, and you can't do as much stuff with them. Maybe it'd be easier to just swap the brain out of the tailgater into the ViewCube and use all the same motors and drive wheels as is. Got the brain out with only slightly bloody knuckles. We're also going to swap out the tilt sensors, since this one uses a different cable than the new one. Alright, so I think we've finally cobbled together some sort of horrifying hybrid of tailgater and ViewCube into a Frankengator or something. The brain is still working at least. We're still having a motor cut out. This is what was happening before with those motors that got wet. Well, the elevation's working. So this ViewCube has exactly the same drive mechanism with that rubber wheel and then the little geared position encoder. We've swapped motors. We're going to try that exact same thing. And it's still cutting out. Maybe something burned out when it was trying to actuate those motors and it was just feeding current into dead motors, burned out a little piece, who knows. This has some rust on it. There's a little bit of scum here and there. There's a little bit of residue. I don't actually know what I'm looking at other than a lot of electronics. So one thing I can do with this is try to clean it. Now in the past I've cleaned old circuit boards with brake cleaner, and that can bring some old electronics back to life. So maybe we'll try that with this guy. We have washed, scrubbed, rinsed, and thoroughly dried our motherboard, and it is working. Has not caught on fire yet. So we're going to see if our motor will run with an as-angle 90 command. It ran a little longer this time, but it's still cut out. This is the position sensor for the azimuth. It's just a potentiometer, like a voltage adjustment dingus, and as the thing rotates, this gives feedback to the dish as to where it's pointing. Now this is the original one that was in the tailgater, which I took this brain out of. This one definitely has a few issues. It's been in the water, it's been kind of corroded. It's possible that that potentiometer is just cranked over to some value that the dish brain doesn't expect. So maybe we can recalibrate it, maybe we can rotate the thing back around, unwind it or something. I'm going to try that first. If that doesn't work, then maybe we'll go ahead and replace it. Okay, I've tried moving the dish around manually and messing with the azimuth motor and messing with the potentiometer, and I think I've made it worse because now I can't get the azimuth motor to run at all. It just cuts out immediately. Alright, we've replaced the azimuth motor. We've replaced the azimuth sensor, potentiometer. Well, now we're right back to the azimuth motor not running at all. So, I don't know what's up with this thing. Well, I think at this point we have to conclude there's something fried on the little board here, and that's far beyond my electronics knowledge. I'm not going to go poking around on this board. I'm not going to go trying to solder anything on there. So we've replaced the potentiometer, we've replaced the motor. Neither of those seems to have needed replacing, so I've just wasted like 2 weeks of my free time messing around with this thing. I do have 2 more of these, including the one that actually works for my project. Alright, we're trying a quick comparison of the full angle movement versus the nudge movement. Here's what our scan looks like at low resolution. And yeah, I think I still have some gear meshing issues, but some of those values are way off to the side. I'm running each azimuth and each elevation with a nudge, which is about 1/5 of a degree, so it's 5 times longer in the X direction and 5 times longer in the Y direction. Long story short, if I end up actually implementing this for my sky scans, it's going to take 3 days to complete instead of 3 hours. Unfortunately, the controlling variable for how fast this can go is how fast I can do that RF watch command on the dish. And the firmware on the dish only allows a minimum of 1 second, so I can't do this scan any faster than 1 second per step. So here is the result of our high-res scan of the exact same picture of our RF leaky computer. It definitely looks a little nicer. We still have some issues with gear meshing, especially up there in the upper left. And then we've got some issues with the scaling. I need to fix that in my settings text file. Alright, we're running this scan again on the southern sky with just a small portion of the sky, so it's not going to take 3 days. Since it's raining outside today, I've left the lid on my tailgater, so we don't get to look at that pretty dish move around, but our electronics stay dry. And this is going to take 90 minutes to complete just a tiny, tiny fraction of the southern sky. Somebody asked me recently, how do I have time to do all these videos? And I really don't. That's why it takes me so long to do a follow-up like this, especially for projects that involve these 1.5 to 3 hour long processes that I have to either kind of babysit or come back and look at the end and maybe make some adjustments to the code and then run it again. I actually have to schedule when is there time on the weekend or an evening when I can do a 3 hour scan, poke at the code while it's still fresh in my mind, while I'm still thinking about it, run that scan again, etc., etc. So after running the high-resolution version of my scan, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised with the results. That high-res scan is definitely nicer looking than the low-res version, and you can definitely see more details of those fainter, less powerful satellites off to the side of the main, strong commercial satellite. Now we are seeing some weird horizontal banding and artifacts on the high-resolution scan. I notice these show up a little more every time I run the scan. Here's a slightly earlier high-res scan I did, and it does have some weird stuff going on to the far right, but it doesn't have quite as many of those horizontal bands. So I'm thinking that every time I run this, I'm probably doing a little more damage to the dish. It is definitely not designed for sustained motor runs like this. Now I'm also noticing my dish is starting to make some unhappy noises as it moves around. I'm getting some squeaking noises, some grinding noises. It's really not designed to run the motors for 4 hours straight. So I'm putting a lot of extra wear and really reducing the lifetime of the motors and the little plastic gears and whatnot by using it this way. Now I'm also still having issues with offsets and indexing, and basically my original scan where the dish pans back and forth clockwise and then counterclockwise still has every other row offset by about 3 pixels. I've tried checking my indexing, I've tried changing that in the scan settings. I've written a completely different visualization program to just fix that 3 pixel offset. Now I did even add in some extra motor runs to try to figure out the meshing issues. So when the little geared motor switches from clockwise to counterclockwise, it can take a couple clicks for the gears to mesh, for it to start moving correctly. I added some extra code to try to address that, and it doesn't really seem to have helped that much. Here's another comparison of the low-res versus high-res scans. This is of my RF leaking computer that has a giant hole in the front of the case. And you can see it's definitely a much nicer picture on the right in that high-res version, although the scales are still a little compressed. I'm still having issues with repeatability of that nudge command, where it seems like it's going 5 steps per degree in the X direction and only 3 steps per degree in the Y direction. So I've had to account for that a little bit in the code. Again, this nudge command is not really meant for this use. It's not supposed to be repeatable. It's not supposed to be a standard measurement. It's just some feature of the dish that I'm basically hijacking and using for my own purposes. As with the last time, I'm going to put all my updated code onto GitHub. If anybody wants to download it, mess around with it, go ahead and update it, but I can't promise I will use your pull requests, so you might just have to start your own repository if you've got one of these tailgaters to mess around with. Alright, well, I think I'm going to call it a day on this tailgater dish. I've successfully done the high-res scan, although I am wearing my dish out a lot faster. I don't really have time to have it sit and do a full sky scan, because again, that would take 72 hours. For now, I think I'm going to put the tailgater dish aside unless I figure out better programming to fix some of the issues I've had, or I learn some more tricks about it, or we come up with some other use for it. We'll try to come back to this in a future video, but it might not be until later in the fall, because summer is going to be devoted to a lot more house projects, boat projects, train projects, other stuff that's not indoor electronics related. I hope this has been a fun video and a useful part 2. Follow-up to our Tailgater Radiotelescope. Make sure to check out part 1 if you haven't seen that before. I'll throw a link down in the description. This whole project will probably make a lot more sense if you've seen the first video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.